Hi guys, today in science lesson we have mold, yeast, and lichen. I want you to please open up your book to page 65. Remember, we keep on talking about the fungi kingdom. And there we talked about last week with mushrooms. So today we're going to finish talking about the fungi and we're going to talk about the three types: mold, yeast, and lichen. Look at the pictures. We have an example of each. We have mold in the bread, we have yeast in the spoon, and we have lichen in the wood, and we have mold again in the fruit. So you may ask yourself, why are they so different and why are they considered fungi? But to get started, we will begin with mold. Mold lives on living and dead plants and animal organisms. They're organic material, food, and wood. They grow best in dark, warm, moist places. Mostly mold, since it's a type of fungus, you can actually find it either in food, either in human places like a house. Maybe you can even find mold under your bed. If you left water and you left it there, it may grow some type of mold. It also grows in places where you normally don't clean. It has many different forms and it lives on living and dead plants. Often appears like a powdery substance, so it looks like a little bit like dust. As you can see, can mold be bad or harmful for humans? Not really. Some is harmful and other kind is actually useful to humans. What I mean about this is it depends on the person's organism. Maybe they can be allergic, like me. I am a person that is constantly allergic to things. So I put this picture where you can see some side effects that it is affecting your body by having red eyes, by sneezing, or having a runny nose, or having an itchy or sore throat, or it has a post-nasal drip or a cough when they're like or you're like always doing that with your nose, then maybe you are having a bad allergic to mold, and some people can't stand it. But some molds can cause damage to crops, and that is very important. It can damage big groups of food supplies, like in a farm, for example. It can actually destroy a big amount of food, and we're going to see why. Now, this is a great example of how mold affects. Look at the corn. In the corn part, you can see the mold is growing, and it's growing inside the crop and it's destroying it. Then you can also see how mold is affecting bread. That is the most common place where you're gonna find mold, is in bread. Now, if you have the materials and the time, and if you want to do it, I repeat, it's optional, it's not obligatory. You can put a piece of bread in a bag, any bag, if you have, put some water, spray some water on it, and put it in a bag and leave it in a dark place of your house. You can leave it in a dark place of your house and wait for 2 days. Maybe on Thursday, you can open it and see if the bread has been growing mold. And it's going to be really cool because you're going to be able to see mold in all its form. If you can do it, great. If not, don't worry. Now, an important fact, or something that is really interesting about mold, is that in the 80s in Ireland, potatoes were a very important food. When a potato blight attacked the potato crop, there were no potatoes to eat, and people were starving. This led to many Irish to leave their country and move to the United States. So for one potato that had mold on it, it actually contaminated the complete crop crop is like a big field of vegetables, and it contaminated the complete crop, and then people started to see this as a plaga that was spreading everywhere. So they end up moving from Ireland to the United States. So that is one reason why people migrated to the United States, because they had no food. Now, to continue, we're going to talk about yeast. Okay, now yeast is really interesting, guys, because it's not as you normally would think a fungus is. Normally a fungus looks like disgusting, or looks like slime, or looks really ugly, but yeast is actually very different. Yeast is a one-cell fungus that forms spores. Spores is another word for poros. The spores float in the air. They are constantly in our surroundings, guys. These spores of yeast. And they are so tiny that they cannot be seen. Only in a microscope you can see these spores of yeast. Yeast cells multiply by budding. What I mean about budding is that, remember, budding means that from one cell you can separate 2 or 3. This means a new cell grows and one old cell. The wall of a yeast cell grows big, and eventually it splits off into a new cell. So they are constantly reproducing really fast, right? Because they are all around us. There are about 140 different kinds of yeast. So, as you see in the picture, yeast can be in different forms, different kinds. Some can be good, some can be bad. But the one that I'm going to talk about today, or the one I want you to focus on, is the good kind. Because in this case, look at the picture. It looks like little powder or little dust of honey. Or it can also look like a big chunk of cheese. But it actually is very helpful. Can yeast be harmful to humans? Some yeast is harmful because it can cause infections. And that is, again, depending on the person's system. Because some people might be allergic and some people may not be. But I put possible side effects of brewer's yeast. Brewer's yeast is a type of yeast that they use, that bakers use. But some things that you can see if it's affecting your system is because you can have headaches, because you want to go to the bathroom constantly, because you're sneezing, you're like, achoo. Because of this, you can have stomach aches, your stomach may hurt, or maybe you have a lot of gases in your stomach, or you can also find like infection in your skin, and it may look like little rashes, or again having an upset stomach. So those can be some side effects that you can see that, oh, no, thank you, but no, because I am allergic to yeast, right? But some people, no. Obviously, the majority, I think, is not allergic to yeast, but there's also the exception. Some yeast can be helpful because they contain vitamin B, minerals, proteins, and are used as nutritional supplements. Now, they are actually good ones because they can supplement your body with vitamin B, which is really cool because they involve all the minerals. So, as I said, it really depends on the person's organism. Now, an important fact, and this is really interesting, and I want you to remember this part, is that yeast is essential in making bread. It's called baker's yeast. And look at the little bread that I put there. Bread is made of CO2, which will be water, alcohol in some cases, not all of them, and then sugar, and they all contain yeast. If you find bread from Xelapan, if you want to buy cakes from anywhere, all the cakes for birthdays have yeast. All the bread that they bake has yeast. Even pizza has a little bit of yeast because yeast actually makes it grow. That's what makes it expand. And yeast is a type of fungus. So see how interesting. Fungus is not normally bad. Like the mushrooms. Mushrooms, you can eat them and it was type of fungus. Yeast, you can eat it, and we eat it constantly. For those of you who love pizza, if you love hamburgers, the bread of the hamburger of any restaurant, you can find yeast, because what makes the bread look big means that it has yeast. The bigger the bread, the more yeast they put. So be careful what you eat, guys. And now, the last type of fungus is lichen. Lichens grow in many places. They grow in cold climates, and they even grow in hot, in dry deserts, and in the Arctic region. They are the main source of food for animals, as reindeers and Arctic moose is actually a lichen. So lichen in this case is also used as a supplement of food for some animals. Right? It is a partnership between a fungi and a green alga. It's like a mix of these two. Look at the pictures. Lichen is not in specific color. It actually can be different colors, and it could be different shapes, but they are normally found in wood or in outside places that are wet. For example, this month it's constantly raining, so if you get the chance to go outside and see rocks or see wood, you can actually start to notice that there is lichen growing under wood. Now, there are different types of lichens. Some are flat, some are low to the ground, and some look like bunches of leaves or branches crawled together. So this is an extra part, because in your book they're not explaining this, but I want you to see the difference. There is the crustose that look like cement, kind of pigmented on wood. It's really weird. It looks like mold too, but it has a different shade. Then you have the phloso. The phloso looks like it's peeling off or it's coming off. And then you have the fructose, and those ones look like little green leaves, but they're not leaves. It's actually lichen. Now, guys, there is a special type of lichen that is called slime mold. And the slime mold looks like a jelly. It looks like slime. It is. It looks like slime. It's not. But it looks exactly like slime. And that is another one that is called slime mold. Look it up in internet. If you want to do it, look for slime mold in wood, and it actually comes out as like a sticky format. It's actually kind of really interesting. Okay, now guys, I want you to get ready for your activity. In your activity of the day, you must guide yourself through the guide that I gave you, okay? Follow instructions, take a picture, and send it to me, okay? Any questions, you can write. Take care, guys.